Okay, so today we'll be talking about paratubal cyst and ovarian cyst. So first, the definition paratubal cyst. A paratubal cyst is an encapsulated fluid-filled sac. They are sometimes referred to as para-ovarian cyst. So what are paratubal cysts? As you can see in the picture, okay, you can see this round circular structure. Okay, so the cyst is a medical condition where there is development of a cyst or a fluid-filled mass in the annexure of the uterus. Okay, so if there's so basically cyst is nothing but a fluid-filled sac. Okay, and if it is present in the ovaries or in the near the fallopian tubes, so these are called as paratubal cyst. This type of cyst forms near an ovary or the fallopian tube. So this paratubal cyst, it occurs mostly near the ovaries or the fallopian tubes, and it is commonly seen in women between the age groups of 30 and 40 years of age. So this is paratubal cyst. So let me get it clear that cyst is nothing but a fluid-filled sac or in a round structure or a circular structure. They are present near the fallopian tubes and the ovaries, and it is commonly seen in women between the age group of 30 to 40 years. Now coming to the signs and symptoms. As you can see here, this is a round, it's like a blister formation, but this is a cyst. It is filled with fluid. Okay, so this is paratubal cyst. Here also, this is a small cyst, and this is a big cyst. Okay, as you can see here, this is the fallopian tubes, and this is the ovaries. So the paratubal cyst, it can be near the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. So paratubal cysts are typically small in size, and they range. What is the size that they range is 2 to 20 millimeters in diameter. So that is the size that they have in range, and when they remain that size, they are usually asymptomatic. So the patient will represent no symptoms if the cyst is between 2 to 20 millimeters in diameter. Whereas a large ruptured or twisted paratubal cyst, it can cause pelvic or abdominal pain. So if the cyst is more than 20 millimeters, or if it is a large or it is ruptured, okay, if the fluid-filled sac is being ruptured, it is burst out, or if it is twisted, then this can cause pelvic or abdominal pain. So that was the signs and symptoms. So just to remind you that patient is asymptomatic when the cyst is small in size, that is, it ranges between 2 to 20 millimeters in diameter. But if the cyst is a very big cyst, if it is ruptured, if it is burst out, if it is twisted, then it can cause severe pelvic pain and as well as abdominal pain. Now coming to the diagnostic test. Okay, so diagnostic tests, they may also use one or more of these diagnostic tests. Okay, number one is pelvic ultrasound or abdominal ultrasound. So these ultrasounds can provide visual image of the pelvic region into a computer screen. MRI is also performed. It determines whether a cyst is malignant, that is, it can spread, or it may also be used to follow a cyst growth. So to check what is the size of the cyst, and to check whether the cyst can transfer or it can spread from one place to another. So we can detect this by using an MRI test. Next, blood test. Blood test is a complete blood count will be performed to check the patient's hemoglobin or RBCs, WBCs, platelets, and also tumor mark test is being done. Next, laparoscopy. Laparoscopy, a paratubal test can look very similar to ovarian cyst on ultrasound. So the doctor will suggest the surgical test. A diagnostic laparoscopy requires a small incision in the abdomen. Then the doctor, okay, so first there'll be in laparoscopy, a small incision will be made on the abdomen. Then the doctor will insert a tube which has many video cameras which is attached to the tip while inserting, and this allows the doctor to see or to have a visual on the pelvic region, so that so when the doctor will be able to see the pelvic region, then it'll be easy for him to visualize the cyst. Now coming to the management. So if the cyst is larger than 10 centimeters, okay, I repeat, if the cyst is larger than 10 centimeters, then the doctor may recommend removal regardless of whether you're experiencing symptoms. So if you're having symptoms or not, then but if the size of the cyst is more than 10 centimeters, then we will try to remove the cyst, which is called, and the surgical procedure is called cystectomy. Now coming to the complications. Okay, so just to remind you that the patient will have pain, severe pain in the abdomen and severe pain in the pelvic region. So to reduce the pain, and NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs such as injection Voveron, that can also be given, or ibuprofen can be given to the patient to reduce the pain. And the surgery that will be performed is cystectomy. Now coming to the complications. Okay, what can be the complications? So if the cyst is not being treated, okay, or if the patient is not performing any diagnostic tests, then that can lead to severe complications. That is number one, hemorrhage. So if the cyst bursts out or if it ruptures, then it can cause internal bleeding. So that will lead to hemorrhage. And if there's any excessive bleeding from the patient's body, then the patient will undergo anemia also. Next, torsion. Torsion is the simple meaning of torsion is twisting. Okay, so in torsion, there's twisting of the cyst on its pedicle, which is the stalk-like structure that holds in its place. So because of this twist, so if anything is twisted, then that will cause extreme debilitating pain as well as nausea, vomiting. Okay, so it is unbearable. The pain is unbearable and there will be nausea, vomiting and extreme pain. Why? Because of the twisting of the cyst. That is known as torsion. And third complication is fallopian tube ruptures. So because if the cyst is too big or if the size of the cyst is more than 10 centimeters, then that can cause the tube to rupture. So this is so these are some of the complications of paratubal cyst. So that was about the paratubal cyst. So just a summary of it, that paratubal cyst is nothing but an encapsulated fluid-filled sac which is present near the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. And these are common mostly in the age group between 30 to 40 years in females. So basically the patient will have no signs and symptoms if the cyst is small in size, that is, it ranges between 2 to 20 millimeters. But if the cyst is more than 10 centimeters, then it is unbearable for the patient. Patient will have extreme pain and therefore a surgical procedure, that is cystectomy, will be performed, whether the patient is having pain or not pain or no pain. Okay, and the complications are twisting of the cyst can cause debilitating pain, hemorrhage, excessive bleed. When the cyst ruptures, then it causes hemorrhage and fallopian tube ruptures. Now coming to the ovarian cyst. Next topic is ovarian cyst, that is cyst or fluid-filled sacs or pockets in the ovaries. So ovarian cysts are fluid-filled sacs or pockets in the ovaries or on its surface. Most ovarian cysts, they present little or no discomfort and they are harmless. So some of the ovarian cysts, so if the size of the cyst is very small, then it has no signs and symptoms on the patient. So there is no discomfort or it is not harmful at all. But the majority disappears. Okay, so the majority of the cyst disappears without treatment within a few months. Okay, so these cysts, what do? They disappear within a few months. They try to disappear and the patient will have no signs and symptoms. Now causes. What are the causes for ovarian cyst? Number one is hormonal problems. Okay, because of the hormonal imbalance. So that or because of drugs, okay, that are used to, which are helpful for ovulation. So that can also cause ovarian cyst. Number two, endometriosis. Endometriosis, if there's any abnormal growth in the lining of the endometrium, that can lead to the formation of ovarian cysts. So women with endometriosis can develop a type of ovarian cyst known as endometrioma. The endometriosis tissue may attach to the ovaries and forms a growth. Okay, so so in the endometrium there's already an abnormal growth. Okay, so that can be attached to the ovaries and also form an abnormal growth. So these cysts can be painful during sex and during the menstrual period. So because of this abnormal growth which is lining in the endometrium, that also can lead to uh, ovarian cyst. Next, pregnancy. An ovarian cyst normally develops in early pregnancy to help support the pregnancy until the placenta forms. So pregnancy is also can be one of the main cause for ovarian cyst. Next, severe pelvic infection. So if there's any infection, okay, um, in the starting from the vagina, or infection in the cervix, or infection in the uterus, that can spread to the fallopian tubes and the ovaries, and it can cause cysts to form. So like I've said, in fasciitis or in oophorytis, okay, so if there's any infection in the fallopian tubes, that can cause infection in the ovaries, and because of the infection in the ovaries, that can cause abscess or pus collection, so there can be cysts. So these are some of the causes for ovarian cyst. Now coming to signs and symptoms, what are the clinical manifestations that a patient will develop? Number one is ovarian cyst, especially those that have ruptured, can cause serious symptoms. So if the cyst or if the fluid-filled sac is ruptured or is burst out, then it can cause severe symptoms. Okay, most cysts don't cause symptoms and they go away on their own. So like I said in the definition only, that many of these cysts, ovarian cysts, they will disappear on their own within a few months. Okay, so when that happens, then there is no sign and symptoms. But if the ovarian cyst, okay, so if the ovarian cyst is very large, then what happens? Patient will have pelvic pain, patient will have fullness or heaviness in their abdomen, and patient will have bloating feeling. Okay, so these are some signs and symptoms if the ovarian cyst is large in size or it is big in size. Okay, and many of the ovarian cysts, they disappear on their own within a few months. Therefore, the patient will have no sign and symptoms. Next, there are many types of ovarian cysts. Number one is functional cysts. Ovaries normally grow cyst-like structures called follicles. Okay, so in a normal setup or normal setting, the ovaries, what do? They normally grow cyst-like structures, which we call it as follicles, every month. These follicles produce hormones, that is estrogens and progesterones, and they release an egg when we ovulate. Okay, so if a normal monthly follicle keeps growing, so every month these follicles are growing, it is known as functional cysts. So there are two types of functional cysts, that is follicular cyst. A follicular cyst occurs when a follicle does not burst or release its egg. It can become a cyst. This cyst can continue to grow and filled with fluid or blood. Okay, so here, as you can see, okay, in the ovaries there is a follicle. So every month these follicles are growing. Okay, and these follicles, what do? They produce estrogens and progesterones. Okay, so every month these follicles are growing in size. So that is one of the follicular cyst. So it occurs when a follicle does not burst or release its egg. Okay, so if a follicle does not release its egg, or it does not burst, then a cyst formation develops, and this continues to grow and filled with fluid or blood. So the cyst will grow in size and they will be filled with either blood or they will be either filled with fluid. So this is follicular cyst. And number two, corpus luteum cyst. This type of functional cyst, it occurs after an egg has been released from the follicle. Okay, so the difference here, what is it, that in follicular cyst, whether the egg has not been released or the follicle is not, it does not burst. So every month this follicle is growing, continuously growing, and it can become a cyst. Whereas in corpus luteum cyst, what happens is it occurs after the egg has been released from the follicle. So corpus luteum cyst is after the egg has been released, whereas follicular cyst, it occurs when when the egg is not being released also. Next, the follicle then becomes a secretory gland. Okay, so after the release of the egg, or after the bursting of the follicle, the type of follicular cyst occurs after an egg has been released from the follicle. The follicle then becomes a secretory gland. Okay, that is known as corpus luteum. The ruptured follicle begins producing large quantities, so that the follicle which has been ruptured or that has been burst, okay, that will produce estrogen and progesterone in preparation for conception. So if a pregnancy does not occur, this corpus luteum, it will break out and disappears. Okay, it may, however, filled with fluid or blood, therefore causing the corpus luteum to expand into a cyst and stay in the ovaries. Okay, so it is clearly written here that the ruptured follicle, okay, we know that follicle produces estrogen and progesterone. So if this follicle is ruptured, it will still continue producing large quantities of estrogen and progesterone, okay, in the preparation for a conception. Okay, so now just imagine that if a pregnancy does not occur, okay. So what happens is this corpus luteum, it will break down and disappears, okay, and it will be filled with fluid or blood, which causes the corpus luteum, because of the collection of the fluid or collection of the blood, the corpus luteum will expand and it will form into a cyst, and it will stay in the ovary. So you can see here in the structure, in this photograph, okay, so this is a cyst. It is it is fluid filled, or it can be filled with the blood, and it is present in the ovary. So this is how a corpus luteum cyst develops. So a functional cyst is of two types, that is follicular cyst, and number two is corpus luteum cyst. So these are the two types of functional cyst. Now coming to risk factors. Okay, so what are the triggering factors, or what are the conditions that the patients are at higher risk for ovarian cyst? Number one is hormonal problems. Okay, imbalance in the hormone levels, that also can lead to ovarian cyst. Then pregnancy, endometriosis, severe pelvic infection, or a previous ovarian cyst. So these are some of the risk factors of ovarian cyst. Now coming to complications. Complications, like I said, torsion. Torsion is nothing but twisting. So you can see here, this is a picture of the ovaries is being twisted. Okay, so here the ovarian torsion, cysts that enlarge can cause the ovary to move, increasing the chance of painful twisting of the ovaries. That is called ovarian torsion. So the ovaries, if they are being twisted, then it is called ovarian torsion. Now rupture. So if the cyst is increasing in size, so it will burst out or it will rupture. So that can cause internal bleeding and it will cause severe pain. So these are some of the complications, that is ovarian torsion, that is twisting of the ovaries, and there will be rupture of the cyst. Okay, the cyst will burst out and it will cause internal bleeding and severe pain. So these are some of the complications. Now coming to the diagnostic test. Pelvic ultrasound is one of the diagnostic tests where an ultrasound will be performed to check the condition of the cyst. Okay, whether it is a solid, whether it is fluid filled, or it is blood filled, or it is mixed with blood and fluid. Next, laparoscopy. Laparoscopy will be performed to check the condition of the to check if there's any endometriosis in the uterus, or if there's any cyst. Next, CA-125 blood test. Okay, so this is a type of blood test where the blood levels of a protein called cancer antigen 125. CA is cancer antigen 125. They are elevated in women with ovarian cancer. So women suffering from ovarian cancer, this type of antigen is very high, in fact, in patients with ovarian cancer, CA 125. So you will have to check this. We have to check the levels of CA 125 antigen. Next, management. Okay, so first is medication. Hormonal contraceptives such as birth control pills will help to keep the ovarian cyst from reoccurring. Okay, so birth control pills will help the ovarian cyst from not forming or not developing it again and again. However, birth control pills will not shrink an existing cyst. Next, because other medications like because of severe pain, so we can give the patient non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs such as injection of Voveron. Or if the patient is having any nausea, vomiting, or bloating, then we can give antiemetics to the patient. Next, surgery. Removal of a cyst that is large, doesn't look like a functional cyst, is growing, continues through 2 or 3 menstrual cycle, or causes pain. So if this cyst is growing in size, okay, then we should remove the cyst, and that is called cystectomy. Removal of the affected ovaries and leaving the other intact is known as oophorectomy. So if the cyst is burst out and the ovaries is affected, okay, there's internal bleeding, there's infection in the ovaries, then we have to remove the ovaries. Either we can remove the affected areas of the ovaries which is attached to the cyst. So that removal of the affected area is called oophorectomy, and removal of the cyst is called cystectomy. So that is the surgical management that we have to perform in a patient with ovarian cyst. So now we have come to the end of the topic. So today we have taught you about the cyst, that is paratubal cyst, and the second is ovarian cyst. So thank you for today.